Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Dominic on Blue-Green OmniTell versus Craig on SnOko. A Bayou, a deceptive opening for SnOko, known mostly for its basic lands. OmniTell firing off a Brainstorm during the end step. And we'll see what build this is. I don't know if he's going to be running Eureka or Drawn Through Dreams. Most of the lists online have been on the 4-mana sorcery that is essentially a slower, less efficient dig through time, which may be good enough in my estimation. If I'm going to be playing a 4-mana spell, I want it to win the game. And Dominic just firing off a Veil of Summer into Show and Tell. Craig, at this point, not going to have much to say about it. The Veil of Summer has resolved. Interesting situation there. That's not typically what I would expect. Usually going to use the Veil of Summer in response to the counter spell. Instead, just throwing it out there. Both players putting in a permanent Ice Fang Coatl for Craig. And now Cunning Wish, and that's going to be a wrap. So, very fast game here. Game number 1, Dominic on Blue-Green OmniTell. Actually just going to grab a Shared Summons. And he's grabbing a Gristlebrand and Emrakul. Play them to take another turn. And just be careful that Shared Summons doesn't get shuffled into the deck. That could be a disaster. So, interesting. Yeah, if you don't know what your opponent's on, I mean, that's an interesting line. If it resolves, you're just going to win. If he has something like Daze, he can't really throw it at the Veil of Summer very effectively because you can pay the 1 mana, and then you end up drawing a card off of Veil of Summer. So, you get a card, and you get rid of the Daze. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that play. That is definitely counterintuitive to me, especially based off of the Bayou. Probably different if you have multiple Veil of Summers as well, if they do have a counter for that one. See if Craig's going to be able to show a little bit more for Team Oko. He is a very... I mean, Omnipresence is probably a little bit much in a format where, like, over half the room is Force of Will. Certainly, more than half the room is not Oko. But he is a very oppressive card versus some strategies, and he's not really terrible in too many matchups. Even in a matchup like OmniTell, Oko eliminates kind of the bottom rung of the paths to victory, to mix some metaphors there. Very often, in a terrible situation, OmniTell will need to do something like Show and Tell an Emrakul or a Gristlebrand and just kind of hope that that's enough. And in those matchups, a Oko from the other side can be absolutely devastating. And the fact that he's only 3 mana means that if you do, say, Show and Tell a Emrakul, very often they're going to be able to put a land in off your Show and Tell and then cast their Oko that much faster just in time to answer the Emrakul. And of course, Oko is capable of handling a single threat. He'll make an Elk, and then he will ramp himself up a little bit, make another Elk, and then stabilize, go on to win the game by himself, making a 3/3 every other turn. Now Dominic has all the mana he needs for his combo, just 3 mana on the first turn. He's got the Lotus Petal and the Ancient Tomb. He can show and tell here. However, with that Lotus Petal, it's very dicey. You don't really want to be using a Brainstorm or Ponder off of that, particularly not Brainstorm. That can feel absolutely awful. If you whiff off of that, you know the next 2 cards are not going to be the lands that you need, and that is very close to a game loss penalty, to be fair. I mean, it's very difficult to come back from. If Craig has any type of board presence, he would find himself completely buried. And Oko here would be awful for Dominic. Getting rid of that Lotus Petal would be a devastating blow. Craig would much rather that the Lotus Petal be an Elk. No Astrolabes for Craig so far. His mana base really so far not looking great. It is a greedy mana base, but still. Bayou showing up in both games. Ponder. With this basic island, he's at least going to be able to cantrip towards what he needs. And he's actually keeping. That can potentially mean he's actually found what he wants, or on the flip side of that, it could actually just mean that he's got another Ponder effect on top. We'll see in a sec. We've got a Tarmogoyf. They are assessing how big that is. It's going to be hitting for 3 so far. Brainstorm again. Got an Emrakul. And fetch land as well. So Brainstorm plus fetch, best combo in the game. Icefang Coatl flashing in during the end step. And Craig's got a 5-turn clock. Let's see if he can hold on that long. Playing a Watery Grave untapped. Ooh, and now Leovold. This may require answering. Leovold, very difficult to contend with once he's on board. Your cantrips no longer going to work the way that you want. There's an additional taxing effect with anything that targets Craig, including things like Intuition, giving him valuable extra cards, potentially allowing him to win a counter war. Even if he wasn't initially able to prevent you from going off, he might be able to stop you midstream if you have to target him a couple of times. And now Drawn Through Dreams, card we had talked about previously. This one at least gets around Leovold. Those cards are going to go into his hand. They are not drawn, despite the card name. And they should very likely find him what he needs. I believe that's a defense grid on the other side of the pile. And Dominic now passing the turn, going to be okay with taking one more hit from this team of green creatures. Tarmogoyf, Icefang Coatl, and Leovold. Forcing the issue. It's now or never for Dominic. A Lotus Petal leading things off. So much mana. firing a veil off. Force of will. And another veil. And it looks like he's going to be drawing 2. Show and tell. Oh, he actually didn't draw his 2 cards. Show and tell. Omniscience into Cunning Wish. Into Firemind's Foresight. Interesting. A Brainstorm, Impulse, and Cunning Wish standard package from here. Typically people would Impulse, then Brainstorm, Cunning Wish for Release the Ants, and go for the kill from there, but Leovold actually a little bit of a problem for that. Brainstorming. And now release the ants. So he's going to be drawing and then clashing. And if he's going to let him draw 13 cards, this may not end well. Oh, I guess it didn't matter because his Veil of Summer resolved, so it's actually fine. It's actually fine. Yeah, there's nothing Craig's going to draw. That is not a line that I would have thought of. Functionally ends up being the same, so very interesting. We had some Veil of Summers fired off at some times that I wouldn't have imagined would be optimal. Typically, you're going to want to respond to your opponent's Force of Will with the Veil of Summer. Dominic actually had both of them in hand. He could pull that play off with just a single Veil, though. You'd play your Show and Tell, they'd play the Force, then you'd play your Veil of Summer, and that'll do it. So looks like Dominic's learning this list. It'll be fun to see if he makes it back to the shop for one of our bigger events, see his progress with it as he learns to master what is a very fun and explosive deck. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.